Hey everyone, it's Ryan. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make pecan tassies, which are basically like little pecan pies. Okay, y'all. So I'm going to leave the part that I just did in, probably speed through it because there was no audio. I did not have my mic turned on, and I don't want to redo it again just because I don't need more than what I have right here. Um, so this was 3/4 of a cup of butter, 3 ounces of cream cheese, and 1 cup of flour, and you just mix that all together and until it becomes a dough. Like I had said, these are sort of like mini pecan pies, but this is obviously not a pie dough. So right now I'm going to chill this because I don't want it to be super sticky when we go to put it in the pans. It's kind of an annoying process to get it into the pan. So we want the dough to be as nice to work with as possible. So I'm gonna cover this, put this in the refrigerator, and then we're gonna work on some of the other parts of this. Okay, so we are going to need a 1/2 cup of chopped pecans, and we are going to need them to be fairly fine because we are going to put these in little mini cupcake trays. So you don't want the pecans to be too large, or you'll only get maybe like one in each one. So I'm just going to put these in this little mini chopper. Chop them up pretty fine. There's still some decent chunks in there. Okay. Like I said, we only need a 1/2 cup, but I'm probably going to go ahead and do a little more just in case I end up needing a little more. And I may end up putting some of these on top of some toffee. So if you haven't watched any of my other Christmas candy videos, I do have a few more up, especially by the time that I post this video. And one of those is toffee, so you can go and check those out if you want. And I will put a link to a lot of these little tools and things that I use down in the description, just in case you like any of them. You don't want your pecans to be dust, but like I said, you want them to be pretty small. Okay, done with this now, so we can set that aside. And now we're going to start on the other part of the filling. So in this, I have 1 tablespoon of butter, and I'm going to put that in the microwave to melt it. Okay, the other things that we will need is just a pinch of salt, some vanilla, 1 egg, regular cane sugar, and brown sugar, which I have already measured out. I did a lot of my prep work last night so I could get a lot of these videos done today. And then 1/3 of a cup of corn syrup. And we're just going to mix all of this in this 1 measuring cup. So I'm going to go ahead and get the pinch of salt out of the way because if I don't, I will forget it. Then we need a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And then we need, mix that up. I'm going to go ahead and do the corn syrup because I don't want my egg to go directly on that warm butter. So this is 1/3 of a cup of corn syrup. Right. Mix that up just a little. Now I'm going to add my 1 egg. Mix that up, and I like to mix in between, but especially after I add an egg, You really want to make sure that your egg gets completely incorporated into your mixture so you don't have any of the yolk or the white separated. So this is 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and a quarter cup of regular sugar. And like I said, I did measure these out last night, so my brown sugar is a little crunchy right now. So you're just going to mix this up. And this is a fairly small batch of these, and that is okay. I might have to make some more of the filling. Like now that I'm looking at it, it doesn't really look like much, but if I have to make more, I'll just make a little more, and that will be okay. All right, so I have my filling, my pecans, my dough is in the fridge, and now I'm going to get my pan. And I am going to spray this with some cooking spray. I always like to spray it over the sink, so BRB. Spraying it fairly heavy, just because when these stick, oh, it's terrible. So we have that sprayed. You can go back over and wipe off the top with a paper towel if you'd like. All right, now I'm going to get my dough out of the fridge and look for, so this is a little tamper thing to push your dough down into the pan. All right, I got a little flour. I just turned my oven on to 325. So I'm gonna put this in here so that there's a little bit of flour on it so it doesn't stick to the dough. So I have this little scooper here. Like I said, I'll have all of this linked. I'm gonna start with this one and see, actually do 2, which may be too many. It has been a while since I have made these. My mom makes them every year. And actually, when I used to have my shop, she would make them for orders that I would have if I had many orders because they are just very time consuming. So let's see, I might just try one. See if that was enough. Oh, well, that worked. You don't want a lot of flour on here, but I just don't want it to stick. And they do make special little tampers specifically for Tassies. I do not have one. I should have gotten one specifically for this video because it's always nice to have the right tools for what you're doing, but I honestly didn't think I would make this video this year. Let me get something to put under that. Just put a dish towel under this so that it's not as loud for y'all. Okay, so 1.5 looks like the right amount. So I'm gonna do that. Even with the scoop, it looks like it's not going to be as clean of a process as I would like. So make sure you have clean hands, or put on some gloves, whatever you want to do. I'm actually going to try to pop this one out. We'll redo that because that was just too much. So 1.5 of these scoops, or let me see, let me compare that to a tablespoon. So it is basically 1 tablespoon. So if you would rather just use a tablespoon and not mess with the scoop, that is your call. All right, so that did 24 with a tiny bit left over, so that is okay. If any of them look like they might need a little more, we can go back in and add a little more. Just make sure, like I said, that it's not sticking too much to your little tamper. Just sort of making it go up and over and then rolling it out so that the side evens out. These are definitely a little bit tedious, maybe not for everyone. This is one of the reasons I didn't do them that much at my shop, because they took a while. Really only the only people that really ordered them were people that had had my mom's candy before, so they knew that I could make this, but I'm pretty sure I did not have it on my menu. All right, I'm gonna speed through this because sometimes I can't talk and do something at the same time. So I'll speed through this with the video, and then I'll come back when it's time to fill everything. All right, so you just saw me sort of go back through and make sure to press into them so that they all came up mostly above the pan, because you don't want the filling to fill over or overflow and get down into the cup, because then you will have a mess in your pan and they'll be so hard to get out. So I'm going to start with 1 teaspoon of pecans per little cup. Could do a heaping teaspoon if you wanted to. Like I said, that's why I did a few extra, just because I didn't want to have to go back and chop more. All right, some of them, I think some of the pecans got stuck in the little teaspoon, so they look like they have a little less. So just eyeball it, go back through. Okay, now I need to get out a tablespoon. You could pour it if you wanted to, your call. Oh no, I got something on my hot pad. So messy. Okay, so you want to make sure that your mixture is mixed up well so that you're not just getting part of the mixture. You want to make sure you're not just getting sugar or egg or whatever. So I'm going to go start with likely half a tablespoon. We're going to fill it basically to the top. I'm just mostly just using the tablespoon here just because it's a small vessel to pour. You can see that one wants to overflow, so hopefully you'll see the pecans start to rise to the top. So fill it just to the top. Like I said, I might need a little more of this filling. We shall see. I feel like the crust part went further than I remembered, so maybe this filling will too. If not, I will fix the recipe in the description so that you have enough to make the full amount if you were to make this, so you won't have to make extra batches because that's just silly. All right, I am going to have to mix up just a little bit more, so I'm going to pause the video. All right, I got this mixed up. So you can sort of see here, the ones that I had already done, how they've shrunk a little bit. So I will end up going back in and adding even more to those. And let me tell you, if this that I just mixed up is not enough to do all of that, I'm going to be real ticked off. And we may just call it a day. But again, I will fix the recipe once y'all see it down in the description. So do not be worried. Whatever I put in there will be enough for you to make your own. And that one right there is what happens when you stop paying attention to what you're doing. I was looking at the ones that are not full and looked away from that one. So I'm just going back into the ones that really look like they could use a little more. Just adding a little bit more. Let's see. All right, this one right here, I'm actually going to take a paper towel and try to sort of contain a little bit of that excess. And then I'm going to get a fork and I'm just going to poke down into these a little bit because as you can see the bubbles, the mixture is just getting down into the pecans. So I really want that mix. I want them to be sort of combined without mixing them because I don't want there to be layers in here more so than there already will be like in a normal pecan pie. You do have the pecans float to the top, but I really want, to make sure that I help that process along a little bit. I do have my oven preheated to 325. And these are going to cook. I'm going to start them at 15, but they should cook around 25 minutes. So at the 15 mark, I'm going to turn the pan around just because I always like to make sure that I do my best to make sure that everything can bake evenly. So these are going to go in the oven, and I'll come back and show you what they look like when they're done, and I'll show you what they look like on the inside. These just came out of the oven. They ended up taking about 27 minutes. So depending on your oven temperature, just keep an eye on them. These over here were the last ones that I filled. So they did end up boiling over in the oven, but that's okay. They're just going to be a little trickier to get out. And these all look really good. They've got a tiny bit of brown, like around the edge you can see. So I'm gonna let these cool and then we'll pop them out of the pan. These took about 27 minutes in the oven. And like I said, these kind of overflowed a little bit. And you can see here that they did sort of hollow out. So what I'm gonna put on the screen while the mixing is being done and putting the pecans, I would go ahead and put probably a full teaspoon. Okay, that one's falling apart, so we'll eat that one. A full teaspoon or 2 teaspoons, I'm sorry, of pecans in each one. These have cooled a little bit more than I probably should have let them, so they're extra crunchy. But we are trying to get some things done, so couldn't depan them right away. Just using my little offset here to go around. And once, like I said, these pans, it'll get a little messy. So that one came out. Just gonna put them in this little pan, or man, words are not coming easy for me today, y'all. I'm just gonna put them in this little container for storage. So they're just cute little Like I said, almost like pecan pies. Probably not going to make you sit here and watch me do all of these because they are being kind of a pain. Came out nicely. But yeah, like, I'll try to get this one out and show you up close, hopefully, why I'm saying I should have added more pecans. Like I had said earlier, it's been a while since I had made these, so I was just going off of my memory, and clearly my memory was wrong. So you see how there's that hole in there. So it needed more pecans. Of course, they bubbled up to the top and then overflowed. So that's why there is that hole in there. But they're still going to taste delicious. And these are a huge hit. I've seen people put like a whole pecan on top right as soon as they come out of the oven. And you could certainly do that for like presentation wise. I'm not, but you certainly could if you wanted to. It's just nothing that we ever did, so I'm not going to do it right now. I really thought spraying this pan would help even more with getting these out, but there was a lot more overflowing that happened than I thought would. Doesn't matter, they're still pretty. Let's see, I'm going to arrange these so that I can get the most in here. Sorry, I'm trying to concentrate so I don't stab into these. If you have a offset that is pointed at the end, it doesn't have the wider end, it comes to a point. Those would be much better for getting these out. Oh, and I mean, they're still coming out pretty well, but they're also being kind of a pain. So I'm going to work on getting the rest of these out. And then I will post a picture at the end, just a cutesy picture, or maybe I'll just use it as the title slide. So I'm going to try one of these. Sorry, I never know where to look. So I'm going to try one of these. They're so good. Sorry, this is one of the reasons I don't try things on here, because I don't like to listen to people talk or chew and talk. So yeah, they're still really good. They taste a lot like just a pecan pie, and that crust is delicious. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Bye.